Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo will not face prosecution for either his sexual misconduct allegations or the fact that his policies led to the preventable deaths of elderly people in nursing homes and then proceeded to cover up the data related to that. Now, let's start off with the decision among prosecutors in regard to his nursing home policies during the pandemic. Here's what we know based on Politico's reporting. The state attorney general's office released a report in 2021 accusing the state of drastically undercounting COVID-19 deaths in nursing home facilities. Cuomo's aides overruled state health officials on the issue, deciding not to publish a scientific paper that would have showed the scope of the deaths and to not send 2 letters the state health officials had drafted for state lawmakers. So just to give you more context on what he did, he essentially forced nursing homes to take in elderly COVID patients as they were being released from the hospital. And of course, that led to the spread of COVID within these nursing homes, and that led to a spike in nursing home deaths. After that data was available, his administration avoided having to publish the accurate number of deaths in these nursing homes. So that was a huge issue, and apparently he's not gonna face any criminal charges for that. Prosecutors in Manhattan believe that he didn't break any laws. His lawyer, basically, outside counsel to Cuomo's office, said in a statement that the former governor was told Monday by the head of the Manhattan District Attorney's Elder Abuse Unit that the office had completed a thorough investigation and would not bring charges.
Oh, well, at least it was thorough. We thoroughly decided that we weren't gonna hold him accountable under any circumstance. Now, I was gonna do this story, we ran out of time last week, about how prosecutors in different areas of New York, one by one, started dropping charges against Cuomo, meaning, you know what, we'll just let it go, we'll let it go, right? But I thought, hey, look, there's at least one left in Albany, and it looks like they're gonna pursue criminal charges, and I had that written up as what I was gonna tell you guys. They're not gonna do that either. Okay, so in that case, it was an assistant that he grabbed the butt of several times, and then that's the one where he reached under her shirt and grabbed her breasts.
Yeah, let me give you more details on that.
Yeah, she's gonna give you the details. They dropped all the cases.
Everything.
You know why? Because he's one of the elites. They're not gonna put him in jail. There's no way they were ever gonna do that. So they can tell me all these pretty little lies about like, oh no, it's not coordinated. We just all happened to decide that there was just not enough evidence on poor Andrew Cuomo. I mean, all the people that are dead in the nursing homes is out of control corruption and the groping of women. We just acknowledge you just couldn't find any evidence, you know? I mean, didn't he pay enough of a price? His reputation has been slightly besmirched. And and he's among the elites. We have besmirched an elite. That's gotta be good enough. No, it's definitely not good enough.
So I have 2 things to say. Number one, and maybe this doesn't speak highly of me, but I've gotten to a point where I'm desensitized. Like I have come to expect that people in positions of power, regardless of how hideous their crimes are, don't face criminal consequences for what they do, okay? I mean, think about the number of credible allegations against men in positions of power, people like Brett Kavanaugh, people like Donald Trump. I mean, that kind of sexual misconduct, whether it's carried out by a Democrat or a Republican, it doesn't matter as long as we're talking about a person who has money and power. So I'm not saying that the way I feel is right, but it's become so commonplace and so expected that I'm almost desensitized to these types of outcomes. The other thing I want to note is, how many places can you guys go to where the media is fair in having this kind of critique regardless of the political identity of the individual we're talking about? Because honestly, when it comes to issues of sexual misconduct, it becomes so politicized by one side or the other, when in reality, it's wrong regardless of who carries it out, and there should be consequences, including criminal consequences, toward the person who carried it out. In this case, with the sexual misconduct, let me give you the details. The Albany Sheriff's Department, or office I should say, had filed a criminal complaint in October charging Cuomo with forcible touching, which is a misdemeanor sex crime that carries a penalty of up to 1 year in jail. Okay, so Cuomo will not be prosecuted in the criminal case involving allegations that he groped a former aide in the executive mansion in 2020, the Albany County District Attorney announced. Now, the move to drop the case, by the way, marked a reprieve for Cuomo, who was actually expected to be arraigned in court on Friday, even as the prosecutor described the former aide, Brittany Camiso, as credible and said he was, quote, deeply troubled by allegations like the ones at issue here.
No, he wasn't. He's lying.
He is lying. Then why didn't you pursue the case? And so the argument is, well, let me give you his exact argument, okay? So here is the Albany County District Attorney. He says, while many have an opinion regarding the allegations against the former governor, the Albany County DA's office is the only one who has a burden to prove the elements of a crime beyond a reasonable doubt. While we found the complainant in this case cooperative and credible, after review of all the available evidence, we have concluded that we cannot meet our burden at trial. So I was curious about that because what are the burdens? And if you look at similar cases, how are they carried out? Are they prosecuted? Are they let go? Are the charges dropped? Now, this is the third prosecutor, by the way, who has decided to drop charges, sexual misconduct charges against Cuomo, as Cenk had mentioned. Let's look at the burden of proof. Let's go to graphic 7 here. Prosecutors in Albany would have had to clear a relatively high bar had they proceeded with the criminal charge. So they would have, a high burden of proof, which required them to prove not only that Cuomo had touched Camiso, but that he did so with the intention of satisfying his own sexual desire or to degrade her. Because cases like these rarely have irrefutable physical evidence, much of the burden would likely have fallen on Camiso's testimony. Okay, sounds like the burden of proof is pretty serious, right? But what are the statistics when it comes to these types of cases? Is it worth pursuing prosecution here? I'll give you the numbers, you decide for yourselves. Of the roughly 1,400 cases like Mr. Cuomo's brought in a typical year across the state, almost four in 10 are dismissed or dropped, state criminal statistics show. So why not pursue it? I mean, that's actually not bad. I mean, yeah, there's a possibility that it'll be dismissed or dropped, or there isn't enough evidence.
Yeah. So first of all, that New York Times story is crap. It's status quo protection racket. So look at the way they framed the story. Oh, well, it's a high burden of proof. Almost 4 out of 10 are dropped. Wait a minute. That means the majority, and in fact, a significant majority, over 60% are not dropped. So why did he get the exception and not the rule? Now, did the New York Times frame it that way?
Nope.
Oh, that's really weird. Why are they dropping this case when the great majority of them go forward? No, they framed it as, it's a high bar. Most of them are dropped anyway, 4 out of 10, almost 4 out of 10.
Almost 4 out of 10.
Wait, isn't that curious how they framed it? Because the New York Times loves the powerful and caters to the powerful. That's their job, is to kiss the ass of the powerful. So they should have ripped Cuomo and the prosecutors, who obviously brazenly, corruptly dropped these charges. Nothing. I mean, look at the other framing. Well, they'd have to just rely on her word. That's also true in rape cases. Should we drop all rape cases? Come on, it's absurd. They're looking for every excuse to say, oh, come on, he already stepped down as governor. Oh, come on, you guys, come on. But he's so powerful and elite. I mean, we can't put him in there with regular people, yuck. I'm telling you, man, all of them, including the reporters at the New York Times, they genuinely feel that way. They think justice, in other words, revenge, vengeance, etc., is for us. We should get that. Never the elites, they're untouchable. So let's realize what actually happened here, okay? The other cases dropped first because every one of them said, oh, don't worry, he's still being prosecuted in Albany. No heat on me. Being prosecuted in Albany, criminal charges, sexual assault, that's really serious. So the press wrote, don't worry about it, they're gonna get him later. Now, when they dropped the main charge, they're like, it's no big deal. I mean, these things get dropped sometimes, it's no big deal. I mean, look at the prosecutor. I'm gonna reread, but in reality, what Anna read you. He said, while we found the complainant in this case cooperative and credible, now let me add the reality, which is, well, we chose not to do anything about this credible complainant anyway.
Exactly.
Because she didn't have political power, and the person who was accused had tons and tons of political power. So we chose to do nothing because we're corrupt. So the only real question that the New York Times and every reporter should have asked but didn't ask and did the opposite is, was there a formal or informal deal here? Because in the beginning, as skeptical as I am, I would have guessed that there was no deal because you'd have to make a deal with each district attorney in the different counties, and that seemed like a bridge too far. But the way that, the highly coordinated gymnastics they did here to let Cuomo off the hook made me change my mind and go, I guess I'm still naive after all this time.
Definitely.
Yeah, now I think the deal was not just informal groupthink, it was formal. They reached out and said, he's gonna step down, everybody dropped the charges when no one's paying attention, and don't worry, the press will cover our ass. They love us, just tell them what to do and then type it like the good dogs that they are. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.